Welcome to Solution 21 Million's Guide to Bitcoin. Today we're going to tackle a really big one.
All right, so we're diving into one of the biggest questions, maybe the biggest question that anyone new to Bitcoin has. What if? What if they just shut it all down? It's a totally valid concern, right? And we're about to break down exactly why that's, well, almost impossible.
So let's kick things off with what we like to call the unkillable question. This whole thing stems from some very real, very understandable fears people have about whether Bitcoin can actually survive in the long run. I mean, let's be honest, if you've ever even thought about Bitcoin, this question has probably popped into your head, right? It's that nagging little what if that can make you second guess everything. But what if the answer is simply, they can't? You know the ones I'm talking about. What if the government just bans it? What if someone turns off the internet? Or what if the whole thing just, poof, vanishes one day? These are the big fears, and believe me, we're going to tackle every single one of them. So how in the world does Bitcoin stand up to these kinds of threats? Well, the secret sauce is baked right into its core design. There is no single point of failure. And that, my friends, is all thanks to its powerful decentralized network. Just think about it for a second. Unlike a regular company, there's no CEO you can arrest. There's no headquarters you can raid. Bitcoin is just software. It's a protocol, an agreement run by thousands of volunteers all across the globe. There's no center to attack. And that's what makes it so fundamentally different from, well, any traditional financial system we've ever seen. Okay, get this. To actually shut Bitcoin down, you would have to find and take out over 24,000 of these nodes. And what are nodes? They're just computers all over the world, independently checking every single transaction. And they're spread across dozens and dozens of countries. Plus, that number is always changing. It's like trying to play a global game of whack-a-mole that you have absolutely no chance of winning. And then there's this number. Wow. This is the raw, brute force security of the network. We're talking about a colossal amount of computing power, all working to protect the blockchain. It's billions of trillions of calculations happening every single second. Seriously, to even try to overpower that and cheat the system, it would be so ridiculously expensive that it's practically impossible. Okay, here's another way to wrap your head around this. To really, really get why Bitcoin is so resilient, let's compare it to a couple of other things that are basically unstoppable. Things like language and math. I mean, seriously, think about it. Could you ban the English language? Could you outlaw algebra? No way, right? Of course not. Why? Because they don't have a central owner. They spread organically from person to person just because people find them useful. Well, Bitcoin works in the exact same way. It's an open protocol. It's an idea that now lives on thousands of computers, and more importantly, in the minds of millions of people. You just can't ban an idea whose time has come. And that leads to a really fascinating point. What happens when someone actually tries to suppress a powerful idea? Well, a lot of the time, it does the complete opposite of what they intended. It's something called the backfire effect. When some powerful entity tries to crush something that people believe in, all it really does is shine a giant spotlight right on it. The attempt to shut it down basically becomes a free advertisement, making the idea even more attractive and even more resilient. And you see this all throughout history. Just look at the Roman Empire's brutal persecution of early Christians. The harder they tried to stamp it out, the more attention they brought to the message. It resonated with people. And in the end, that persecution is actually one of the things that helped it survive and spread all over the world. And guess what? We've seen this exact same pattern play out with Bitcoin. Remember when China banned all Bitcoin mining? Did it kill the network? Not even close. The miners just packed up their gear and moved to other countries. And what was the result? The network became even more decentralized and even more resilient than it was before. The ban actually made Bitcoin stronger. Isn't that incredible? Okay, so let's tie all of this together. What does this incredible built-in resilience actually mean for you? Well, it means Bitcoin offers a path to something really powerful, something called financial sovereignty. Let's circle back to those fears we started with. An internet shutdown? Turns out, a Bitcoin isn't just relying on your home Wi-Fi. The network has backups. Transaction data can literally be broadcast over radio waves or beamed down from satellites. It's wild. A government ban? Well, as we've just seen, that often just makes the whole thing stronger. And that fear of it just disappearing? Look, it's survived for over a decade against all odds. That very survival is the foundation of its long-term value. So here's the bottom line. Bitcoin's resilience, It isn't just some cool technical feature for nerds to talk about. No, it's a tool. It's a tool that gives you a way to actually control your own money, to preserve your own economic energy in a way that no single government or corporation can just take away. So now that you see just how tough this thing is to kill, it's really worth asking, what does that mean for you personally? How do you think something like Bitcoin could change your future? We would genuinely love to hear what you think, so drop your thoughts down in the comments. And his quote, man, it just sums it up perfectly. Look, nothing is truly invincible, right? But Bitcoin, because of its very design, is about as close to unkillable as any system we have ever created. It's a powerful thought. All right, so where do we go from here? Let's quickly talk about some next steps and, of course, a few important disclosures. If any of this has sparked your curiosity, really, the best advice is just to start small. Learn as you go. Honestly, that journey of understanding is the most valuable part of it all. And hey, if you found this explainer helpful, if it cleared some things up for you, do us a huge favor and hit that like button, comment below with your thoughts or any questions, and of course, subscribe for more content on these emerging technologies. Your engagement really does help us reach more learners just like you. And just a quick but very important reminder, this is all for educational purposes only. It does not constitute financial advice. You should always, always do your own research and talk with qualified professionals before making any kind of investment decision. Thanks so much for joining us. Reclaim your time and future. Study Bitcoin.